So this is a real, this is a route, this is a way, this is my ride. This was the ride that I took, and one day, and probably soon, I won't remember it the same way that I remember it right now. So the way it goes is I'm on Nevins, right? I'm on Nevins and I make a right turn onto Union, and I ride over the bridge, and the bridge is made of metal. So I'm riding and trying not to get caught. And there's only been a couple of times where I can't ride that way because the bridge is up, but we're riding as if the bridge is down, and we're riding. And then we make a right turn on Bond Street, and that's a funny kind of turn because it's a little narrow, and there's like a little divot in a hill where the drain is, and people that are driving down Bond are going kind of fast. So we make a quick little turn, and also people crossing on the street too. They're in the way sometimes. So we're going down Bond, and there's some dead ends where people are riding out, and then there's a bigger road that has like a middle part to it, an island, and there's a light there, and there is the new beauty salon, the beauty store that's there, and I got something there recently. And go down, keep riding down, you've already probably passed Butler and Baltic, and now you're going to Sackett, and keep going down, and it's green, there's a lot of green everywhere. There's the trash can that sometimes I throw out my garbage in that trash can on my bike when I'd ride home. And then you get to Atlantic, and there's the big light, and you wait there. It's busy there. And there's like a flower shop and a bodega on the right side, and maybe even on the left side too, and it's busy. And then you go over Atlantic, and you're still on Bond, and you make a right on Schemerhorn, and you turn right, and now you're on another main road, or a busier road with hotels, and there's a bike lane, but nobody rides on the bike lane because people are double parked, and there's a lot of cars and some stupid lights, and sometimes you used to go down State, and that was nice because that's really green, but the only thing is it's a weird turn going back on 3rd to Lafayette. So you stay on Schemerhorn, and you get to an area where it's like 2 roads connect to one, and that's when it becomes Lafayette. So you make your way, and now you're in the middle of the road in the bike lane, and you're wedged between the cars that turn left and the cars that are going to stay straight and go onto Lafayette. And on Lafayette, you are waiting for that light, and across from you to the right side, Whole Foods is over there, and then further down still on the right side, but also on the corner is BAM, and you can see what they're playing, what's going to be playing. And on the right side where you are, there's some chairs, and it's painted colorfully, and on the left side across the street, I think that's like the dance school. and it's either of two names, and I feel like if I list those two names, someone's gonna get mad. So, so you're waiting at the light, Mark Morris or Alvin Ailey. Rewind. So then the light changes, and sometimes randomly people will start crossing the street in front of you when they think that's their light now, when really it's our light. So we go green, and we go. And riding, you pass Center for Fiction, and bam, and the taco place where people are sitting and eating outside, and people are double parked there too, and opening doors and not being cool, but it's fine. And you're riding, and now you're kind of riding uphill, and you're going up Lafayette. You're gonna pass like Washington Park. I think you've already probably passed St. Felix and Carlton and Cumberland, and there might be a T at the end of that, and a lot of streets. I can't remember some of their names. Vanderbilt. So you are staying up Lafayette, and you are going, and you get ride, and you get to the peak of the hill, and sometimes usually all the lights stay green, and you can just keep going and going and going, and that's the best. And you get to the peak, and then you go down, and you go down the hill, and that's when things start to get kind of hairy, because cars are going fast too, but it's still fun. But there's a pothole or it's not a pothole, it looks like a pothole, but there's a divot in the ground right by the church it's right by the architecture school for Pratt. I can't remember the name of the street. I feel like it starts with an I. But you try to avoid that, and you figured out that it's really not that big of a deal, so you kind of ride over it. And you ride, and you keep going, and now you're passing you've passed Gates, definitely. You're gonna pass Classen, Hall? No, maybe. No. So you're riding, then there's a light and the car stop, but as a biker you don't. You keep going. You've got to make sure that you're not going to hit anyone crossing the street, but barely anyone crosses the street right there. And you keep riding, and you're riding. And then you get to Franklin. And at Franklin, oh shit, is that it? I guess so, but there's a street before Franklin where there's a light, and you always stop for that light. So you're stopped, and it's good when you're stopped. I liked it when I would stop, because then I would go over to the right hand side of the road, and when I was on the right, because I'm going to make a right turn, so I'd go over there and hang out there until the light turned back, and then I'm riding down the right hand side, and a lot of people are hanging out on the right hand side, but it's okay, and there's a lot of good maneuvering around, and you're riding down, and you get to Franklin, and there's also a bus lane there too. So sometimes the bus is there, you gotta wait, and then you're just eating gas. But then you make a right on Franklin, and instead of staying on the right, you go on to the left and pray that you're good, and you always were, and you're on the left hand side, and now you're gonna pass Chilos, and at that light cars go really fast, so you usually stop at that light and not try to sneak it when it's even red because you can't see. And you pass Chilos, and then you pass Everybody Party, something like that dance place. Come On Everybody, maybe. And damn. And you make a left onto Green. And you're gonna ride Green very far, all the way down. And you go down and you're by that restaurant that you used to live by, and it might be Cuban, and that's on Bedford, and there's a hut thing there, and you're there, and then you ride down another street, and you kind of keep getting stuck at lights, but you keep going down. And I can't remember the street names, I just know that you just ride down, and there's the people that have like a rib place, I think, on the left hand side of the road going down in the front of their house. That looks pretty cool. And then you keep going down, and there's speed bumps, so you sit up a little, and you're going down, and there's like a bunch of bars and things on some more corners going down, and then there's this deli that's on the right hand side, and it has a mural of some astronauts, and their faces are mirrors, and you've tried to put your face in the mirror a couple times, but you're too far away, so it doesn't look accurate. And you keep going down, and there might be it's not a police station, but there's a building with like some shiny stuff on the top that you liked on the right hand side, but you're on the left hand side the whole time. And you're going down, and there's the Green Market Deli on the left hand side of another street. You're passing like Throop, Malcolm X, I don't even know. And then there's the Bed-Stuy EMT Volunteer Fire Department on the left, and they've got like a chair with maybe a dummy, and then there's a pothole, definitely. You're still on Green all the way down, and then there's this other, and then there's over a bump there somebody took like some kind of paint, metallic paint, and it says "she" on the ground, and you keep going, and then there's like that manta ray looking speed bump mistake that happened in the middle of the road that gets you. And there are a lot of, there's the city bike station on the left hand side, and you're going down, and then there's more that I can't remember already. And then on the left hand side there is the funeral home, and that's where the Manor speed bump is, and that's crossing over Patchen. And now you're approaching Broadway, and that's always and You get to Broadway and you're going left. There's the fork, you can go right or left. You go left and you usually catch that light. And you hang, maybe even hang back, because some people park their car kind of in the road, so it's hard to get around the bend, so you just wait till you can get there. And you go up green towards Bushwick, and cars drive so fast right there because that light changes really fast from the other light. I think that light lasts like 10 seconds. So I go slow. I never make it. I think I made it twice. And I think that, I don't know. But the cars, they try to make it, and some do, but usually they just blow through the light anyway and make it still. So, I wonder why. So you wait for that light, and you wait for that light, and the light changes, and you go make a left on Bushwick and make a quick right on back on Green, and you're riding down Green, and there's sometimes a traffic cone that's around that corner, or a bucket full of cement or something. So you go around and there's a house, and there's always a lot of people outside, and they look like they're having a lot of fun. And you try to show off a little, hoping that maybe they'll talk to you one day. But they don't. And you said you were going to talk to them one day, but you didn't either. So you go past them, and there's a stop sign. And you blow through that stop sign, even though it's pretty scary and pretty close encounters. And then you go up, and you make a right on, I don't know what it is. It might be Evergreen. It might be Evergreen. Or it's Central. I don't know. But you make a right, and you pass a really beautiful church. And one time you saw a wedding there, but usually it always looked kind of abandoned. And cars drive really fast there too. And then you make a left onto Menahan. And you turn, and there's usually people outside, pretty much in that whole area. There's people everywhere. So you make that left, and you go up, and you see the beautiful field on the right hand side, and think about how you want to go on the roof of the school that's across the street and go up there and film. And sometimes there is some baseball games happening. And then you make that light, which is nice, it doesn't last that long, and get to Myrtle. And on Myrtle, what happens on Myrtle? On Myrtle, it's a little bumpy. So even going up Menahan to Myrtle, it's terrible. And you've said it probably every time. They gotta pave this. When are they gonna pave this? It's time to pave this road. And you get to Myrtle, and you usually make that light, and you go, and there's a divider in the middle of the road. So you go to the left side, and people are always crossing yet again, just like by Lafayette, crossing when the light turns green. And when you go, you swerve around them, and there's all potholes up that whole time. And you kind of are in the middle of the road, and people are honking. And there's a bar on the left-hand side, maybe called Talon. And if it is Talon, I don't like that name. And that's because it reminds me of Napoleon Dynamite, which I liked back in the day, but it makes me feel kind of sick, and that bar makes me feel sick. Though I did one time see these two people very in love, and they looked very happy, and it made me sad and jealous. So you cross that, and it's a stop sign, and it stinks because cars don't really let you go. But once they do, you go up the hill, and you're going up the hill, and you just went over, I think, Irving, and you're going to do probably Wyckoff and definitely St. Nicholas, and you'll see that cafe with the purple awning with the coffee cups, and it's not really open then in St. Nicholas. And you think about that, just the name was funny. And then Cypress, what's happening on Cypress? The beautiful church, and the people that make the really good kebabs on the right hand side, and thinking about the people that live in the apartments right there, and they're kind of like, they're new and gross, but just knowing, I don't know, it could be different if it were like really nice old buildings, and living there and smelling the good kebabs, the chicken kebabs with the mayo and the hot sauce and the peppers and the potatoes and the really good bread. And then you go over, and now it's homebound from here, and you're on Menahan, and you pass over Seneca, and there's Carlos Pizza, and the hardware store? No. And you get to Onondaga, and on the left is that new bar, Marie's or something, and it used to be the other bar. And you used to have the Christmas trees outside. And you make a right on Onondaga, no matter what, because you don't go into the bike lane, you stay on the right hand side. And you go down Onondaga, and you pass that church on the right hand side with the driveway and the cool backyard thing, and you're at Grove, and you're on the corner of Grove, maybe waiting at the light, and you're still on the right hand side, and probably someone's honking you because you're not in the bike lane, and then light turns green, and you go on the sidewalk and get off your bike, depending on the time of day, and if anyone's there, maybe you'd stay on, but then you ride up, and you're home on Linden and